Okay, today's lesson, lesson 2.3, page 55 of your textbook. We will be talking about multiplying tens, hundreds, and thousands. And our essential question is, how does understanding place value help you multiply tens, hundreds, and thousands? Okay, and so in our Unlock the Problem, we're going to learn about one way we can multiply a number by a single digit by a value that's in the hundreds. So each car on a train has 200 seats. How many seats are on a train with 8 cars? Okay, so I have 8 sets of 200. So one way is to draw a quick picture. And so remember that the squares represent hundreds, the flat, right? It represents a flat, which is 100. So, and I have them side by side. So that's one set of 200, another set of 200, a third set, a fourth set, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. And then you'll notice that they suggest that you put a box around every set of 10, because a set of 10 can be traded for 1,000. Because remember, 10 hundreds equals 1,000. Okay, and then put a box around the remaining ones. Well, these can't be traded for 1,000, so I still have 600. Okay, and 600 equals 600. So in the 2, we have 1,000 plus 600. So that's going to give me 1,600. Okay. We can also do, another way would be to use place value. And so I know I have 200 here, which is the same as saying on a place value chart, 2 hundreds. Okay, so I have 8 sets of 200s. So how many hundreds do I have? 8 times 2 is 16. So how much is 16 hundredths? How much are 16 hundredths? Well, 16 hundredths is the same as saying 1,600. So there are 1,600 seats on a train with 8 cars. Now, we'll start to notice a pattern, and in mathematical practice it says, explain how finding 8 times 2 can help you find 8 times 200. Well, 8 times 2 is a basic fact. It equals 16. Then I can just add the number of zeros in the problem. So we can go 8 times 2, that's a basic fact, 16. So that's 16, and then just put the 2 zeros on the end. So 1,600. Okay, so that's a pattern that you'll see with multiplying by numbers that end in 0. So what are some other ways we can do it? Well, we could use a number line. And here we say, Bob's sled shop rents 4,000 sleds each month. How many sleds does the store rent in 6 months? Well, so we need to find 4,000 in 6 months. Every month they rent 4,000. So we notice we have on this number line, and they started skipping by 4s. Now, why would they skip by 4? Well, because we know that 6 times 4 is the basic fact in this problem. So they skip counted 4 6 times. So they went 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. All right, and the basic fact for 6 times 4 is 6 times 4 is 24. And then they started to use a pattern of the numbers. And so we noticed that what's the difference between this number line and this number line? Well, this one goes 0, 0, and then 4 and 40. So it would have jumped from 0 to 40, from 40 to 80, 80 to 120, 120 to 160, 160 to 200, and 200 to 240. So what is the only difference? These are 10 times greater than the top number. Okay, and I know it's 10 times greater because it has 1 0 added to the original number, the basic fact. But we're now multiplying the value by 40. We're multiplying by 4,000. But so in our pattern, we see that 6 times 40 is 240 with 1 0. So if I was multiplying by 40, it would be 240. This next one, if I was multiplying by 100, 400 ends in 2 zeros. And 2 times 4, 4 times 6 is 24. And we would put 2 zeros on it. And so that's what they're showing here. But again, I'm not multiplying by 400, I'm multiplying by 1,000. But what is the pattern we're seeing? So we went from 4 to 40 to 400 to 4,000. Each one of these is 10 times greater than the next. So if it's 10 times greater, we keep adding 1 0. So 24, 6 times 4,000, 6 times 4 is 24, and 4,000 has 3 zeros. What do you notice about all the numbers in the number line on the bottom? They all have 3 zeros at the end. Okay, so 6 times 4, the basic fact's 24. There's 3 zeros in 4,000, so put 3 zeros on the end. We get 24,000. So in 6 months, they ran 24,000 sleds. So we could use a number line. That seems like it would take a long time to keep doing that, right? So the next one is we'll just use patterns. Let's use the power of the math. And so our basic fact, 3 times 7, 21. That's a third grade problem. Okay, we know that. And then if I was multiplying by a 10, 70, I know that it's the basic fact, and then put 1 0 on. If I was multiplying by 100, by 700, it would be 3 times 7, 21, and then there are 2 zeros in 700. So it would be 2,100. If I was doing 3 times 7,000, 3 times 7 is 21. And then how many zeros are in 7,000? 3. So put 3 zeros. So it's much easier to start recognizing the pattern and the power of multiplying a single digit by numbers that end in 0, or what we call base 10s. So if I'm multiplying a single digit by 10, I put 1 0. If I'm multiplying by 100, I put 2 zeros. If I'm multiplying by thousands, I put 3 zeros. If I'm multiplying by 10,000s, I put 4 zeros, and so on. Okay. All right, so here's another one. 8 times 5, the basic fact is 40. 8 times 5 is still 8 times 50, the basic fact is still 40. 50 has 1 0. We have to put another 0. 8 times 5, the basic fact is 40. And then how many zeros are in 500? 2 more. So 4,000. 8 times 5,000. 8 times 5 is 40. And 5,000 has 3 zeros. So 8 times 5 is 40,000. And each one of these, when I go from 40 to 400 to 4,000 to 40,000, these are all 10 times greater than the previous number. So, and this question here on the bottom of page 56, I'm going to skip it here because we're going to do it again on page 57. Okay, and it's going to be numbers 13. So the same exact problem, so there's no reason for us to talk about it twice. So we'll talk about it on page 57. All right, so let's take those examples and apply them. So the first one says, use the drawing to find 2 times 500. So 2 times 500 means you have 2 sets of 500. And so I noticed that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, that's one set of 500, of 500, yes. Okay, we have 5 boxes of 100. And then below it, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have another set of 500. 5 plus 5 is 10, which means I can trade those 2 sets of 500 for 1 cube of thousands. So 2 times 500 is 1,000. Does that follow our pattern? 2 times 5 is 10. How many zeros in 500? 2. So 2 times 5 is 10. That's our basic fact. And then add 2 zeros from the 500. All right. So let's complete this pattern. 3 times 8 is 24. So that's a basic fact, right? 3 times 8, 24. And then we have 1 0 from the 80, or a 10. So 3 times 80 is 10 times greater than 240. 800 is going to be 100 times bigger than 24. So if it's 100 times bigger, I'm going to put 2 zeros. 3 times 8,000 is going to be 1,000 times bigger. And so I'm going to have 24,000. When I say 1,000 times bigger, I mean 1,000 times bigger than the basic fact of 8 times 3. Okay, so we get our 3 zeros. All right, 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 20 is 120. 6 times 200 is 12 for the basic fact, and it's 100 times greater than 12, so put 2 zeros. 6 times 2,000, 6 times 2 is 12. How many zeros in 2,000? 3, which tells us that 6 times, our answer is 1,000 times greater than 6 times 2. 4 times 5, 20. 4 times 50, 1 0. So 4 times 5 is 20, but that's not my answer. They can't be the same, right? Here I have 4 times 5, and here I have 4 times 50. So there's no way that 4 times 50 can be 20. So don't forget that the 50 has 1 0. So it's going to be 10 times greater than 20. Okay, 5 times 4, 4 times 500. How many zeros are in 500? 2. So it's 100 times greater than 20. And 4 times 5 is 20. How many zeros in 5,000? 3. Make sure you put them on. And we can say that 4 times 1,000, 5,000 is 1,000 times greater than 20. All right. Now, find the product. 6 times 500. Well, we know we can follow a pattern. We know we could draw a picture. But I can also use place value. So what we're going to do is take what digit is in the hundreds place. Here we have 500s. So what is 6 times 5? We should know that. That's a basic math fact. It's a third grade math fact. If we don't know, we'll have to skip count by 5s 6 times. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So we're going to have 30 hundreds. So 30, and then hundreds end in 2 zeros. 9 times 5,000. So I have 9 sets of 5 thousands. So how many total thousands will I have? So again, 5 times 9. That's a basic math fact. We should know it. 5 times 10 is 50. So what's 50 take away 5? 45. So 45,000. So 45. And how many zeros are in thousands? 3. All right, number 7. So what method do you want to do to figure out 7 times 6,000? Well, I like the pattern method myself. So 7 times 6 is 42. 7 times 60 is 420. 7 times 600 is 4,200. And 7 times 6,000 is 42,000. Now, do I need to do this? No, because I know that if I multiply those together and put the 3 zeros from the 6,000, I'm still going to get 42,000. Okay? If you need to draw the pattern out, draw it, but you don't have to. Here, 8 times 4, 32. And then there's 1 zero in 80. So it's going to be 10 times greater than 32, 320. 3 times 500. Okay, we have 3 sets of 500s. 3 times 5 is 15. Put the 2 zeros on the end. We get 1,500. Number 10. Some number times 9,000 is 63 thousandths. So 9 times something. So we know that the 3 zeros in my answer were put on because of the 9,000. Okay. So thousands end in 3 zeros. So 9 times what would give me 63? Again, it's easier if we do know our math facts for this. I know it's got to be bigger than 9 times 5 because 9 times 5 was 45. And I know it's less than 9 times 10 because 9 times 10 is 90. So it's somewhere between 5 and 10. So it's 6, 7, 8, or 9. 9 times 9 is 81. 9 times 8 is 72. 9 times 7 is 63. So it's 7. 7 sets of 9,000 is 63,000. 7 times what is 56,000? Okay, so I know that my number has to be in the thousands because there's 3 zeros in this answer. I also know that 7 times 8 is 56. Okay, but it can't be just an 8. That's just the basic fact. 7 times 8 gets me the 56. What value would give me the 3 zeros? 8,000. 8 times what would give me 3,200? So if I skip count my 8s, 8, 16, 24, 32. So I skip count 4 8s. But I know it can't be just 8 times 4 because it's not 32. It's 3,200. And this at the end tells me what this value has to be. This number here has to be in the hundreds place. So 400. So 13, I said we'd come back to it. Okay. And it says, how does the number of zeros in the product of 8 and 5,000 compare to the number of zeros in the factors? And so there are 4 zeros in the product. Okay. Um, let's go ahead and write that answer out real quick. So let's prove that. 8 times 5 is 40. And then put the 3 zeros on. So how many zeros do I have in my product? Product is the answer of a multiplication problem. I have 4 zeros. All right, so there's 4 zeros in the product and only 3 zeros in 5,000. But there's a 0 in the basic fact. 8 times 5, 40. So it ended in a 0. Okay. So as we put up here, we know that 8 times 5 is 40. So the zeros in the factors. The factors are the numbers we multiply together. So 5,000 has 3 zeros, and 8 times 5, the basic fact, has a 0 of 40. 50, page 58. Number 14. Joe's Fun and Son rent beach chairs. The store rented 300 beach chairs each month in April and May. The store rented 600 beach chairs each month from June through September. How many beach chairs did the store rent during the 6 months? So we need to, that's our answer, our problem. We have to figure out how many beach chairs total in the 6 months. And I can't just multiply 6 times the answer because it wasn't the same amount each month. So I'm actually going to have 2 different problems, right? Okay, so what would our problems be? Well, we know that we have to find the total number of beach chairs rented in 6 months. How do I know that it's the total number of beach chairs rented in 6 months? Well, because that's our question. It's asking us to solve that. So how will I find the number of beach chairs? Well, in April and May, there were 2 months. So I'll do 2 times 300. I'm going to say that's for April and May. April and May, 2 times 300. Then for June, July, August, and September, that's 4 months. And for 4 months, they rented 600 chairs per month. Okay, so in those 4 months, every month was 600. In April and May, it was just 300. So what are the steps we're going to use to solve this problem? Well, we're going to have 2 times 300 plus the other 4 months of 4 times 600. And that's going to equal n. N's going to be my total amount. So 2 times 300, the basic fact is 6, and there's 2 zeros in 300. So 600 during those 2 months. And then here, 4 times 6, you'll recall that 4 times 6 is the same as 2 times 6, doubled. So 2 times 6 is 12. 12 and 12 is 24. Add 2 zeros from the 600. And so those are our totals. So 2,400 plus 600. Must line up the place values, starting with the ones, so from right to left. 0, 0, 6 and 4 is 10. I will regroup the 1000 as 1000 and no tens. 2 and 1 is 3. So 3,000 total chairs. Part D, for April and May, a total of 600 chairs were rented. Remember, there was 2 months here, April and May. For June through September, there were 4 months of 600, and that was 2,400. And in the 6 months total, there were 3,000 chairs rented. Easy enough. And 15. Mariah makes bead necklaces. Beads are packaged in bags of 50 and bags of 200. Mariah bought 4 bags of 50. 4 bags of 50. It's the same thing as saying 4 sets of 50. And 3 bags of 200, which is the same thing as saying 3 sets of 200. How many beads did Mariah buy? So this exact same problem, basically. Okay, so we have our first set of beads, and we have to add our second set. So 4 times 5 is 20, and then the 0 from the 50. Plus 3 times 2 is 6, and the 2 zeros from 200. 600 plus 200. I can do that in my head. I don't need to line that up. 600, you give me 200 more, that's 800. So that would be the proper math for that. So 4 sets of 50 plus 3 sets of 200 equals our total number of beads. 200 plus 600 equals our total number of beads. So our total number is 800 beads. Okay, and our last problem for lesson 2.3. Carmen has 3 books of stamps, 20 stamps. 3 books of 20 stamps. 5 books of 10 stamps. How many stamps does Carmen have? How many stamps does Carmen have? That's what we have to find. It says complete the equation using the numbers on the tiles. So how many sets of 20 do we have? We have 3 books of 20. That means each of the books, these 3 books, has 20 stamps. So it's the same thing as saying 3 sets of 20 or 3 groups of 20. And then we also have 5 books of 10. All right, and 3 times 20 is 60, because 3 times 2 is 6, and we can put the 0 from 20. 5 times 10 is 50, and we get a total of 110. Okay, so that's it for 2.3. And so until tomorrow, may the numbers always be in your favor.